Hi, my name is Clare and I'm the mother of 3 teenagers with FASD.
I'm Jessica, a PhD researcher specialising in educational interventions for children with FASD.
And together we are the hosts of Spotlight on FASD, the UK's first podcast dedicated to shining a spotlight on fetal alcohol spectrum disorders.
FASD is a condition caused by prenatal alcohol exposure that affects hundreds of thousands of children across the UK.
And we're here to bring these conversations out of the shadows and make sure that no one living with FASD feels alone.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Spotlight on FASD. We have a very, very special episode to share with you all because we are joined by two young ladies who both have FASD, who have been involved in the creation of the UK's first FASD Manifesto. And they are joining us today to talk about what it was like to be involved in that and just share their thoughts and their experience of that and the launch. I'm sure everybody saw the launch. It's been big news. We've seen the manifesto reach to different countries already. So we're here today to talk about that. And I'll very quickly introduce who we have here. We've got Bailey and we've got Georgia. We are also joined by Brian Roberts from National FASD, who was involved in the creation of the manifesto. So, hi everyone, we're really excited to have you with us.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hi.
Okay, so manifesto. Brian, could you just start by just sharing a couple of thoughts about where this manifesto originally came from? What was the driver? We'll sort of just lay the foundations.
We've always been very excited about getting those people with FASD to be able to tell us what it's like, because although I live with people with FASD, I don't know what it's like to have FASD, and therefore it's important to know what young people and older people with FASD want us to know about FASD. So the idea started off about just finding that out, and we thought other kinds of conditions would have found out from people with their conditions how they wanted to be treated, what they thought helped them, and we found that we didn't. So we asked around about 50 young people, adults with FASD, to feed back to us how they wanted to be treated, how they wanted professionals to look after them, and in the end, we managed to get that down to the 15 points in the UK FASD Manifesto, which the girls will talk about.
Fantastic. Yeah, so like really, really importantly, as you said, just focusing on the opinions of those who are living it and experiencing it, and giving an opportunity to share their voice, really.
And I think what I'm so excited to have you both here, Georgia and Bailey, and it's always wonderful. I think we've had one wee little guest a little while ago who has FASD on our podcast, but we've had tons of professionals and people, global experts on FASD, and like you just said there, Brian, yes, we live with people who have FASD, and so we are very well educated around how to help our children and young people and support them with their FASD, but have absolutely no clue what it's like to live with it and to get through daily life. And so I'm absolutely thrilled that you've taken the time. I heard you both speak at the national conference in Manchester, and it was just, well, I cried all the way through it, but I did manage to listen to it all. But it was absolutely wonderful, and it overwhelms us a little bit. I just love to be able to sit and listen to you both, and it fills me with genuine happiness and hope for the future about how the progress that we're making and how things are changing, and we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are if it wasn't for the powerful young women like you. So I'm really, really thankful that you're here.
I think the future is so important, like when it comes to FASD and the changes happening. It's definitely, I can see it through the last 2 years, definitely, but it's changing slowly, and it is becoming better for like living with it. I know a school would be completely different now for me if I went. But yeah, I think it's people with FASD finding each other, and that's when it's the most empowering thing. Like the conference for me, just being surrounded by people who had the same condition was just, yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah. Please.
Bailey, have you got anything to add?
Not yet.
Fine. It's happy. It's quite all right to just listen, and I just love the fact that you're part of this and you're here, because you are, you played a huge role in the manifesto, and I have heard what you've had to say about it. So, but I'm just, please don't feel any kind of pressure to have to speak. It's just it's enough that you're here and that you're part of it, and they're just listening. And your presence is very, very welcome.
So can I ask, how did you both feel when you were given this opportunity? So this opportunity to share your ideas, is this something that you'd been waiting for? Is this something that you're like, okay, I know my answers because I've been saying these things for years and years and years and nobody's listened? Or was this sort of a, oh wow, okay, I need to think about this? Or what was it like when you first had that opportunity?
It was meaningful to me. Like, it was worth it. Because every time I had to explain myself, no one was understanding me, and I just got so heated up. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna wait until one day I can actually speak, so people are more aware of it.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And it was like listening to one of my teenagers, like that they use that exact phrase, get heated up. And it's such a brilliant way to describe it. And I can only imagine how frustrating it must feel. Did either of you feel nervous about it? Was it a bit nerve-wracking, or was it something?
My heart was beating fast. My hands was getting all sweaty. But like at the end, I was like I felt proud.
You felt like it was worth it at the end. You were pleased that you'd pushed yourself to go through that uncomfortable feeling, because the feeling you got at the end it made you feel proud. What about you, Georgia? Did you?
I was really nervous. I think being surrounded by other women that have the same condition made me feel a lot better. It took that bit of weight off my shoulders, but it was still very nerve-wracking. But I was glad that I'd done it, because I was at the end there was people coming up to me, and it was really rewarding, because everyone was listening. Everyone was really listening. You can pretend to listen, but they were listening, and it was just, I've been to like a few conferences before, but that felt different. People were really interested and they want to learn. So it was really nice to see.
Yeah, and what I can absolutely vouch for is, so throughout the day at the conference, sometimes we were getting split up. You could choose where you could go to listen to different people, and there was some, fascinating people. When your passion is FASD, it was amazing to be able to go and pick and choose who you were going to listen to. But throughout even the most fascinating talks, there was always a little bit of movement. There was people chatting to each other. People were on phones.
Yeah.
When you were all speaking, nobody moved. It felt like nobody was even breathing. Absolutely nobody moved. You could hear a pin drop. You commanded every ounce of their attention. And I think it's safe to say there was not a dry eye in the house. And that is so powerful, you know, and I want to thank you on behalf of my young people, like that because not everyone can get up and do that. And the fact that you pushed yourselves when your heart's racing and your hands are sweating and you just think, oh, no, I'm just going to say I can't do this. That must have been so tempting to just say, no, I can't do it. But to push yourself, so many people are going to benefit. So many people are going to benefit. So you're going to be able to stay proud of this for the rest of your lives, to think that you pushed yourself to do it.
Yeah.
So I think my question to whoever wants to answer it, even Jess or Brian, kind of on behalf of National FASD. So if somebody doesn't know what a manifesto is, so if somebody's listening to this, so what is the FASD manifesto? Like, what is it? If somebody who didn't know what one was, in a nutshell, what is it?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, please.
Okay, the manifesto, and we thought it was really important to use the proper words, is actually a declaration, a statement about what lots of people with FASD want everyone to know about FASD and how to talk about it and support people with FASD. Now, that could be doctors and nurses in medical settings. It could be people in schools and colleges. It could be people out in the community. Indeed, it could even be parents who don't know. And some of the things that are on the manifesto actually make you stop and think, actually, do I get it right all the time? Because there's things like speak calmly and respect us all the time. And it's really, really important. And that's what the manifesto is.
Thank you. I just thought it was really useful to, because some people dip into different episodes, and it just be really useful for people who might not understand what it meant. And I mean, obviously, the importance of it is not lost on anyone. That it's absolutely desperately needed and required. And I feel like it's even though, like you said earlier, George, you can feel the difference in the last 2 years and things are changing. It fills me with absolute joy. Even though I would love it to go a million times faster, it does fill me with joy what I can see happening over the last 2 to 4 years. But I feel like this manifesto, and I'm a very visual thinker and a visual learner, I feel like it's drawn a huge, big line. Like I feel like it's collectively drawn a huge line and said, okay, this going forwards now, this is absolutely what we require and what we expect. And that's what I feel it has happened. That's what I feel the power of it is. I don't know if you agree with it, Jess.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, definitely. I think it's gives you a base, and everyone can just find the set. What's the word? Oh, it's happened. I'm the first one to break. Lost my train of thought. Sorry, all. Move on.
Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. I think it's yeah, no, I don't know where I'm going with this now.
And I think it's what's so powerful is what you've done is you've created it, you've presented it, and now it's a case of everybody having to make a call themselves to say, no, we're not going to do that, or well, yeah, absolutely, that is the way we're going to move forwards. And there is absolutely no reason. I feel like you've left no stone unturned. It doesn't give anyone a get out clause to say, well, no, that's not how we're going to do things. And that's why instantly, because I think you might agree, Bailey and Georgia, one of the most difficult aspects of being a young person with FASD is education and school a lot of the time. I think if it's not, that's an exception. And when I was listening to it and then looking at it afterwards, thinking like, this is going to be so powerful for education and for schools. And to be, for all due respect for teachers, you know, I've very rarely, if ever, encountered a teacher who genuinely did not want to help my children with everything in their power, but didn't have the knowledge or didn't have the you know, they weren't able to accommodate what my children needed because of other things going on in school. So I think that you know, our next step is to push that into, you know, I feel schools are the priority. Schools and education, the education system is the priority, because that's, I think, is going to have the fastest, biggest, most powerful impact. And I feel like teachers and educators would just be thankful of it, because it's a start, because they will be the first to admit a lot of the time, it's like, no, we don't know what it is, or we didn't realize that we were dealing with it. And then, you know, the conversations that we have over and over again, and then they understand the prevalence of it, and they understand how much of it they are dealing with on a daily basis, and have been probably their entire teaching career without even knowing it. So I think they'll be really thankful for them to have something like, right, okay, this is like, it's a little bit of a how-to, isn't it? It's a little bit of a start, a little bit of a guide for them.
Yeah, I think it will definitely help with making schools more consistent with their support.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to change. It's going to be the same manifesto.
Yeah.
That I think if. Why can't I speak? Right.
Hold it up, Georgia. Hold it up a little bit. Hold it up a little bit further so we can have a little look. Because I love the graphics and stuff on it. Yeah.
But it just gives the school something to go off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the difficult thing with schools is every school does things a little bit different.
Mm.
You can't do it a little bit different with this. It's going to be the same manifesto.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it will definitely help.
And I think in my experience, you would be hard pushed to find a school who said, no, we don't want that. We don't want that assistance. We don't want that help with that. They're not going to say that. It's going to be like, oh, right, okay, this is something that this can be a starting point. And like I keep, when I think about it, I visualize like a big stop and then a start. That's what I feel it is. Like it's just like leaping into a new start. So, and we'll link it. It'll be linked in with all of the bump around this episode of the podcast, so that anyone can get it and can share it and share it and share it and share it, so that as many people as possible get to see it and get to know about it. Because although we are seeing it everywhere, we are in that world. So yes, we will be seeing it everywhere. So we need to get it out there.
Definitely, because when it was launched at the FASD conference in Salford in March. But for that event, and as part of the Manifesto launch, National FASD created the visuals, like George has just held up, the printed leaflets, but also a video. So we've already got it in these different forms, like really easily accessible. But there's even more coming around the manifesto and things like that. And so it's very, very accessible. So we do need to share it far and wide. But we have seen that there was an FASD support group. I've totally lost it now. I've lost my thought there. But
we know it's been used in Texas.
Yeah.
It was used within a week of the girls launching it in Texas. George and I met up with someone from New Zealand last week, and she was using it and pushing it out through New Zealand, wasn't she, George?
Yeah. And that was really encouraging. That was really, that was fun.
Wow.
And I think for people who can't communicate, like looking back when I was in school, I couldn't pinpoint what I needed help with. I didn't really understand my emotions at the time. So I think for them children and young adults who don't know how to communicate to get support, I think it would be really good for them. Really good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And although the title is the UK FASD Manifesto, because it's people from the UK who have input, I do feel that it is very much speaking for all people with FASD. I'm sure individuals with FASD around the world will agree with what you've put in there. So the fact that it's being used in Texas and is in New Zealand and helping people in your position, like you say, who aren't quite able to communicate or haven't been given the opportunity to be involved in a manifesto in their country or whatever. Like, we need to go global with it, Brian. Let's do an international one.
That's next week then.
So what are the next, like what are the plans for? Obviously it's been created, it's been launched. Are there any like targeted plans to like kind of take it directly to education, like, you know, heads of departments or heads of local authorities? Are there any plans to take it places, or are we just kind of let it do its own work and filter out?
Well, George, do you want to talk about where we took it, or you took it in April?
Yes. I took it to my local MP. So hopefully, sorry, there's a parcel. So hopefully it gives him something to go off as well. But it's concerned, like around here, there's not even a pathway to diagnose FASD. So it is starting from scratch really, but I do think it'd be really important to get it into schools and education, colleges, and because people will find relevance in it, whether you've got FASD or not. It just makes you think, oh, how am I talking to people? It makes you second guess yourself, and so I think it would, even if you don't have FASD, you'd want to share it. You'd want to help, anyone that you know with FASD.
I think a lot of the things on there, none of it is anything difficult that any kind of an organisation would need to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on training a whole workforce on. Yeah. None of it requires that, but the impact it will have is life-changing. So when it's sold like that, it's just a no-brainer, isn't it? Really? Yeah. Did you get to meet your MP? Did you get to actually meet your MP? Yeah,
we went to
good for
his
you
offices, and we had a very good it was meant to be a 15-minute chat that turned into an hour. So it was very positive though.
Oh, that's fantastic, well done.
It's probably worth saying who our MP is, George, because it's a little bit more than an MP.
Steve Barclay, but it means nothing to me. I'm not political. I don't know. I don't know.
In England, he's in charge of health and social care. So we pitched as high as we could within health and social care, because we live in the place where he's MP for. So we started there. We've got plans to go into the Department for Education as well, because you're quite right, education is important. Yeah. Bailey, where would you like us to make the fuss and make the impact?
I'm not sure.
Where would you have thought that it would be useful to have that manifesto when you've gone through anything to be able to give to someone?
Colleges.
Yeah.
Because the staff of my college, like, I try to explain to them, and like, it's like they don't believe what I'm saying, and like they keep laughing. So they don't, like, if they were me, they wouldn't be laughing. They'll be like how I am right now.
And do you think that is a lot to do with the fact that it's so physically hidden that somebody who doesn't know anything about FASD looks at you and thinks, well, I can't see anything going on here. And I think with college as well, there's such the last 2 years I've gone through this transition like school years to college years, and doing it again right now. And I think there's such pressure on the jump to college, where you are seen as a more of an adult, and they try and make you take on much more responsibility. I think it's such a big jump, and it's even more difficult, I find, to get support than in school, because colleges are kind of designed to create independence. Now this is your last couple of years in before adulthood, so I think colleges it's vital for them to understand what's going on. So I would totally agree with you, Bailey. Yeah,
and like the fact that they always say that there's nothing wrong with you. I'm like, well, how, you're not me, so how do you know? Like, just because your brain is mine doesn't mean there's nothing wrong. That gets me, like, yeah.
I can definitely relate to that. It's infuriating. I think, yeah, I don't know if it's ignorance, but people really do. If they can't see a broken leg, they will just treat you like normal. And it's frustrating. Especially, like, I'm sure you've explained a few times, Bailey, about FASD to them, I can imagine.
Yeah, but like, it's what gets to me as well is when they keep saying, yeah, I understand, but like, you don't. It's just, and then they laugh, and I'm like, what? I'm just gonna forget.
Do you feel like when it comes down to it, they say that they get it, but then when you are maybe in a situation where you're having a day where you need that support to kick in, and you're not able to cope in the way that you would like to, then they've said they understand it, but then they don't deal with it in the way that you need them to deal with it?
It's like my form tutor, she's like, I don't know how to. I don't think no one understands me in my college. So I just, like, sometimes I just keep my mouth shut, but then I'm just like, what's the point when they're not gonna try to understand? So I just want people to understand. So yeah.
I bet that's frustrating though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, Bailey, is that you do lots of really good things in sports and Duke of Edinburgh that, you should be proud of, but they should be proud of too.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think the manifestos would help someone? I'd say if you had a manifesto on hand at college and you were having a bad day, if you were just able to pass it to someone, do you think it would help?
Maybe. Because I try, like, as soon as I speak about it, the staff just says, yeah, I know, which you don't know. Like, because even, like, I brought in, like, paper that, like, explains, like, stuff about me, and they just put it to the side. They don't actually read through it and, like, ask me questions. So I don't know what else to do.
And of course, one of the bits of the manifesto asks people to learn about FASD, doesn't it? Rather than just put it aside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I suppose that it's as frustrating as it is for you, Bailey. What you've recognised is you want to be part of this moving forward, so that in years to come, young people who are going through their college experience, when a staff member says, oh yeah, I understand about FASD, and then act accordingly, then you will know that you played a huge part. And it's no consolation now when you are struggling in that environment, but you could have completely disengaged. You're determined to do it, which is a huge achievement and something you should be really, really proud of.
Yeah, it's just sometimes I just feel like giving up with them.
I absolutely can imagine that you would feel like that, because it's exhausting. You're running up a big hill all the time, aren't you? But keep going, because it is changing. It definitely is changing. We need to push out the podcast episodes to more college staff, definitely.
And also shops, like shops should have it and offices should have it.
The manifesto.
Yeah. Is that what you mean, Bailey, that they should have the manifesto?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think, George, if your workplace has had it, it would have been easier for you, wouldn't it?
100%. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's definitely going to be important in education, but even when it comes to employment, you've still got to then re-explain yourself to another person. And it's not going to be the same as school. I mean, school's inconsistent enough, but when it comes to a job, you could have different managers on different days. There's a lot of change all at once. And I did have a job for a long time, and I was supported by my parents. But if I wasn't, I wouldn't have been able to do that job. And that shouldn't be an option. I should be able to thrive in anything I choose to do, not because I can't do it. It's because of other people's attitudes that don't want to help. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's it, isn't it? Like we talked about with focus on education, and if there's not the time or the money or whatever else is stopping people getting trained and having a big dedicated FASD training for a whole school, and then implementing all of these things that can support. With the manifesto, there's absolutely no excuse. I think possibly the more time-consuming, probably slightly harder thing is to learn about FASD. Everything else on there, everybody should be doing day to day anyway. So like Georgia said before, this is designed for people with FASD. This has come from people with FASD. But being kind to people, being patient with people, being respectful, all of those things we just need to build in anyway, because there's, as we touched on earlier, the prevalence rates and everything. There'll be thousands of people out there who don't know they have FASD and possibly will never know they have FASD. So whatever these things people have got going on, this manifesto is really, really, really important. And it's a starting point. So if all teachers and all managers and everybody working in shops and the whole of society just went by all of those points in the manifesto that are very easy, then hopefully we can encourage them to start learning about FASD. It is so important, and there's big efforts going into training people and teachers and everybody about FASD, but it is unfortunately it's going to take a while to chip away at everyone. Whereas this manifesto is easy. Just be kind to people. Yeah. Just have patience with people. It does need sharing everywhere, and there's part of my brain going round at the minute trying to figure out how we do that. How do we get other people to see it and to use it? And hopefully this podcast is one of the ways.
Yeah.
We reach more people.
I
You know,
hope so.
where we've been chattering, I've been writing loads of different things. And what about here and here? And oh, what about way into here? And how do we get into this? Like you mind's whirring all the time, just because it is it's not a quick fix at all, but it's a really powerful instant hit, isn't it? Like a really powerful hit that can have a big difference immediately, and then hopefully will lead to people learning a little bit more about it, and then accepting that it is everywhere in the workplace, in the education system. So yeah, I think it's definitely a hugely positive thing, and it's something that I'm dead excited about it. And I think because sometimes things get created and you think like, oh, I know, but what impact is that really going to have? This is one of those things where it's such common sense, but also, and it's so straightforward, and I'm not belittling at all the massive amount of work that I can imagine has gone into creating it, massive amount of work. But it's something that I think, because of its simplicity, that's given it the power.
Yeah.
People in very busy job roles, and especially teachers, because we all know the pressure, no one, and this is something that education is one of the biggest problems that we talk about. However, we are so positive and respectful about teachers and teaching staff and educators, because I just always have the mindset of, certainly throughout primary school, I cannot imagine having to have dealt with one of my boys especially, and 29 other humans in a room. I don't even, I'm in awe of the teachers that got especially my boys through primary education. So it's never a criticism, but I think we have to be really firm in saying, we really need you to listen to this, and we really need you to do this, no question, because of the impact it's going to have. So yeah, so I don't know if there's any, like, what are the immediate next steps, Brian?
Well, it's included in all the training that we offer. So yesterday I played the animation and the soundtrack to 90 special needs coordinators in Sheffield, and it is being used as a central point because it is so important. Actually, not me saying this is what you should be doing. It's people with FASD going, this is what we need. And it is so powerful. So it's now in all the training that we run as a national organisation. And it's just gone out in the latest edition again of the Me and My FASD Club, so that even more people have got hold of copies of that. So it is growing, and we want to drive it as far and as quickly as we can.
Do you want people to share it? Do you want people to be sharing it? Like, yeah.
Absolutely. There'll be links on here for how you can get it. I'd love to see it on the wall in every classroom, in every workplace, in every social services office. I don't think too much to ask, because it's relatively simple to do.
Yeah.
Roger and Bailey, do either of you have any ideas of how you think it can reach people, even if they're wacky? You had any ideas of, like, let's do this?
I think it's just going to surprise us. I think it might. I want to walk into maybe a shop one day and just see it on a poster board. Yeah. It's going to be simple things, just giving it to a neighbour, giving it to a friend, giving it to a doctor, and that's going to mount up. And the more people that do that, it's going to be a bigger step. So yeah, any platform, any person that wants it, get it.
Do you keep them in your bag in case you see a notice board in a shop?
Yeah, it is something that I would carry around with me, because it is just so simple. Yeah, you can't not read it and go, that makes sense. I mean, maybe, but yeah.
can people get, sorry, Bailey, if you were going to speak there, but while it's in my mind, can people, if you wanted people to be given hard copies out, do you just print it out, or can people get hard copies from National FASD?
We have got some hard copies left over, but people can print as many as they want from the website on the Me and My FASD website. You'll find Bailey and George starring as pictures there. And if you click on the links, it will take you to where you can download it and print thousands.
Right.
Bailey, were you going to say anything?
I might give one into college, to be honest. And if they look at it and put it down, I don't know what other things I can do.
I think that's a really good idea. Really good idea.
I mean, you have the advantage, Bailey, that you can say, look, I spoke to 250 people in Salford University and told them I wanted to do this. Why are you ignoring it? Because that's what you...
Yeah.
And you can say that you helped create it, and you launched it in front of hundreds of people, and you need for your college to be being an example, a shining example of how the manifesto goes into place. And I think you might be surprised because quite often, people don't work in education to not want to help people. So, sometimes faced with something, and you might find them thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't really understand it like that. So definitely worth doing. But I know it'll be brave. It'll take quite a bit of courage to do that. But if you can stand up and sit down and speak in front of all of those people, you can definitely do that with your college tutors.
Just think what you did. I was sat at the front looking at you. I didn't have to look at all those people in that lecture hall that you looked at. And you did that, no problem. So a handful of teachers, that's nothing. You were able to get that out and talk about it.
Yeah, I'll try that.
Good.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Now, I would like to ask you both, just before we sort of wrap things up, and I will give you a little bit of space at the end to share any more final thoughts or anything. But before we do, I would like to ask you both, Georgia and Bailey, to share with us a big achievement, something that you have achieved that you want to share with everybody who watches, who listens to this.
I've achieved my gold DOV, and I got my badge, brooch. It was hard, but I didn't give up. I pushed through it, and yeah.
Bailey, can you tell us about? Yeah, can you tell us about what it is that you had to do to achieve your Gold Duke of Edinburgh award?
So there's physical, there's skills, there's volunteering. I had to do that for, I think, 16 months, and you have to go, you have to do camping, bring your own food and stuff, and you have to follow a map and stuff like that to get to the next location. It was hard, but I got through it.
You got through it, and you've got your award. Was there a big fancy award ceremony?
Not. There was a lot of people, but I didn't get to see. Was it Edward?
The new Duke of Edinburgh.
I didn't get to see him because everyone was rushing towards him, so it was kind of
but he was there.
That's really impressive.
And where were you? It wasn't. Where were you, Bailey, getting that?
It was in the grounds of Buckingham Palace.
Brilliant.
Just casually.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
casual.
yeah. I forgot that bit. Yeah, it was just Buckingham Palace. Anyone who knows anything about the Duke of Edinburgh Award knows how hard and grueling it is, and the resilience that you have to show for such a long period of time. The fact that you have achieved that, you're going to be able to waltz into college on Monday or whatever your next day is, and you're just going to be able to go like that with the manifestos to the staff. Go, need you to read all of that. Just that is an incredible achievement. Absolutely amazing, Bailey.
Thank you.
I should have gone first because, gosh, it's just put me to shame. I've done nothing.
Could
Have
argue
I
with
done
that.
anything impressive?
Well, you've already shared your big one, talking to your MP, so we've put you on
Yeah.
the spot. Now you've got to think of something else.
No, I think that's it. I'm talking in London next week at the midwife release. Whatever it is. Yeah, no. I think just talking in Manchester.
Oh, George,
Say it again, sorry.
you've talked to MPs before.
I have. Which I do
Yeah,
enjoy.
and to a packed lecture theatre full of hundreds of professionals at Salford Uni about the manifesto. Like, you've had quite a packed agenda, and it sounds like you don't plan on slowing down or stopping anytime soon.
No.
And you just swooshed in here as we were starting the recording because you were driving home.
Yeah.
Your driving license, that's something that.
Yeah, to be fair, that's quite impressive. I do surprise myself sometimes, especially when I'm driving. I go, yeah, I've been driving for 3 years now, but it's really encouraging because Dad told me someone who's 40, did you say, who
Yes.
hadn't thought of driving because she has FASD, and she's learned how to drive now, hasn't she?
Because she saw George on the website saying how good it was to drive. She thought, well, I'll have a go. And she did.
See?
Wow.
The impact that has on someone, because you know yourself the impact being able to drive can have on your life, and the independence that it can give you, and the confidence that it can give you, and the opportunities. So
100%.
yeah.
I think no one with FASD should hold themselves back. I think that's one of the problems I faced for so long, was holding myself back because I've got to take into account my disabilities. Actually, I was just holding myself back. I was just scared of not being equal to everyone around me. But as soon as I stopped caring about that, I've accomplished more. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
And I think it's important to say for anyone who's listening with FASD, you don't have to walk 50 miles and get a Gold Duke of Edinburgh's award. You know, for Bailey, and another achievement just as big will be getting the members of staff to look at the manifesto. So it's really important. Everything is a little gain, and really important.
Definitely.
Yeah. Having your voices heard in the creation of that manifesto is a huge achievement that is to be acknowledged. So to then get on stage in front of 250 people at the launch, it makes me feel a bit like the thought of getting on stage in front of 250 people. There's a lot of people.
Yes.
And you both did fantastic.
Oh, I'm so grateful that you've taken the time, and I'm keen to keep an eye and see what you both do next. And I've got everything crossed for you for college, Bailey. But I have a feeling that it might surprise you in a good way. I certainly hope so.
It's just so mentally draining. Yeah, my next day is on Monday, so yeah.
You don't even really need to say a lot, do you? If you physically got a copy of it, even if you just speak to one tutor and kind of get them alone and just say, I helped create and launch this. It's been launched nationally. I really, really need you to take the time to read it, please. That's all you need to say. You don't even need to hang around while they're having a look at it or anything. Just that, 20 seconds of bravery. I remember hearing this years and years ago, because I think that's the average length of time it takes to speak a sentence, unless you may, and it goes off on 17 different tangents. But for an average person, and 20 seconds of bravery can totally change your life. One sentence, and once you start, it takes you 20 seconds and it's out. So I'll definitely be rooting for you. I'll be sending you super strength on Monday.
Have a think over the weekend, Bailey, on who's going to be the best one to talk to, and give them the bit of paper, and then they'll do the work for you. If you best tutor at college who's going to be the one who will listen best, give them the paper, and they'll go and do the talking for you.
Yeah.
Just never doubt yourself. You know what you know that they're not doing what they're supposed to, and don't ever stop voicing that. Never stop. Annoy them. Keep going. Keep going. It will all be worth it one day.
It will. It absolutely will. Oh, it's been so lovely talking to you. I don't know
really enjoyed it.
If anyone's got anything, and we'll definitely have you back, because I'm really keen to keep a track and follow your journey of what you're doing, and how you're annoying people and pushing. We want to keep a track of that. We want to be part of that. So people all over the world, because people from all over the world listen to the podcast, so that they can think, oh, there's that really powerful, annoying Georgia. What's she done now? What MPs she had now? So that's something we'll if you come back, we'll definitely have you back, and you as well, Bailey. I don't know if there's anything you would like to add at the end. Any final thoughts or?
It annoys me when people start assuming things that's not even true, like, if you know what I mean. Because because I used to go to this club, and it's really funny, because I was just sitting down with my friend, and this girl was talking to the staff about me. So then the staff wanted to have a conversation, and apparently I was being mean to this girl, and I said, well, you're believing her over me. You haven't even listened to what I have to say. So I said to my mum, I just want to leave, because no one's going to listen to me, and no. So yeah.
And it's very frustrating, Bailey. George's brother, who's 15, who's also got FASD, a head teacher rang me up 2 days ago just to say to me, look, lots of other students have been saying things about Callum, and actually none of it's true. They're making it all up. And because they get FASD, they know that's that, and they will check. And he rang me up just to tell me that, actually, to reassure Callum that actually, despite what they were all saying, they were making it up. And that's really important, that they will check those kind of things.
Yeah.
George, go on, Bailey.
My college, that's the same thing. Like, if something's not true, the staff doesn't come to me and say it's not true, so you don't have to stress. They don't help in that way. Like, so that I have to physically go up to the person and ask them if it's true or not. And I don't know whether to believe them or the staff. So and the staff is meant to be like professional. So I don't know.
It's hard to try and avoid conflict, isn't it? It is really, really tricky. But I think like Brian said, the key for you for college is to find someone who you think would be not the easiest to convince, but the most open and be the best person to who you would feel the most comfortable with talking to about the manifesto and about how you don't feel like you're being supported the way you need, and then they'll help you kind of snowball it from there. But it's not. We do appreciate how frustrating and how much more difficult life is for sure. And it is tough. We know. I do appreciate that. I'm not trying to say like, oh, it'll be fine, just do this. I do appreciate that it is really tough to have to deal with it.
I'm sure if anyone who's listening has ever been in the same boat, they can definitely relate to that. I'm sure that you help them just by talking about your problems and it's not fair. And I think that's really important, is that the way that you should be treated is it should be different. And even if it doesn't happen overnight, you will make that change for someone else. Maybe 10 years down the line, there'll be a kid that's our age who's actually fully supported in school. And I know that people appreciate you just being able to talk about how hard it is sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important also, Bailey, to know that you might not know it or not, but there'll be other people in college with you who have FASD. They may not know it, because we know from George there was another girl in the same year as her who now we know's got FASD, but when she was at college, no one knew, did they, George?
No, I think that's one hard thing about FASD, is that everyone is going to be different. Everyone, we're not all going to seem the same, and I think that's why people get so confused. But this is the solution. The manifesto is a solution for that. You don't need to be confused.
Mm-hmm.
Even if 2 things off this piece of paper help someone, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I think you've just summed it all up. I think you've just summed it all up perfectly there, Georgia, at the end. And that is the top and bottom of it. And like you say, that if you are acting in a way that the manifesto suggests you do, which isn't difficult to do, you're going to help and impact the people with FASD who might not even know it themselves, let alone know that they've got it. So
100%.
It's a win-win, yeah, definitely. Oh, well, thanks again then for being our guests, and we definitely look forward to having you back.
I'm excited to come back. I've enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed chatting to you, and we're really pleased to have had the opportunity to get the 2 of you who are involved in the launch of the UK FASD Manifesto here to talk about it. And just a quick shout out to, there was Rachel, Claire, Paula, also on stage with you at the launch in Salford. And then who else was involved? Brian, there was Dom, Jodie,
Dominic and Jodie and Jacob, who also helped with the groundbreaking stuff that we managed to do.
Yeah, so thank you all for using your voices.
Thank you.
For such important work.